Welcome to Podcast of All Podcasts. Enjoy best moments of podcast history.
Up first, we have Otis Redding, I've Been Loving You Too Long.
I've been loving you too long to stop now. You were tired and you want to be free. My love is growing stronger as you become a habit to me. Ooh, I'm loving you too long. I don't want to stop now. Oh. With you, my life has been so wonderful. I can't stop now. You're tired, and your love is growing cold. My love is growing stronger as our affair grow old. I've been loving you oh too long to stop now. Oh, 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 I've been loving you a little too long. I don't want to stop now. Oh, oh, don't make me stop now. Oh, baby, down on my knees, please don't make me stop now. I love with all my heart, and I can't stop now. Please, 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 oh, don't make me stop now. Oh, my heart is so crying.
Next, we have Joe Rogan, Stephen Pressfield with Aubrey Marcus.
The Army, I think, because they're young guys, because they're desperate for some kind of a way to channel that into something that means something, that kind of provides significance to something.
And I think, like it or not, and most people I would say not, we have caveman DNA. I mean, it's just in our system, period.
Absolutely.
And you either accept that and manage it, or you deny it and go fucking crazy in traffic and wonder why you're screaming and sticking your finger at somebody because their car got in front of your car. Like you find yourself lost in the wave of rage. That's possible too. I saw this woman screaming at some woman of some sort of a traffic thing, just going, I'll never forget her face going, fuck you. Just fuck you. I don't know what happened. I mean,
yeah, we've all seen that.
But
and it's
that
usually
fucking blind, when you're just zero and you see that blind rage, it's.
Here's the other side of that. At least what I was just saying about a structured thing like learning martial arts is something that an individual can join, and there are others who are also students, and there's a teacher who's teaching them and telling them what to do. But the other side of that is art, is trying to produce whatever it is you're trying to produce, a movie, a painting, a book, or something like that. This is where, at least in my opinion, you go as an individual, and where there are no rules, or there are rules, but you have to discover them yourself. And so this is what we're talking about before, about entering into another dimension of reality or tapping into another dimension of reality, which is the dimension of potentiality. It's like this podcast existed before you and Brian put it together. It just existed on another level in potentiality. And on it and the stuff that you guys do, that also existed. Or a book that I might write or a movie that somebody might do. And so I think that is a kind of, without trying to sound too phony baloney here, it's a warrior pursuit. It's something that taps into that wolf energy or that pure testosterone energy, only it's not channeled in a path that already exists. You, the artist or the comedian or whatever, discover that path one footstep at a time, and you sort of put your foot out and you go wrong. You go into a puddle or you step on a punji stake or something. And you go, well, shit, wait a minute. Over here, this is solid ground. And you know, this got a laugh. This made people, I killed when I did this, right? And so you are kind of in the dark, like somebody moving through the dark, trusting your instincts, trusting whatever little starlight you can see. And when you finally get to the end of that forest and you turn around, you look back at the path you took. For a writer, that's a book. And you look down and you say, where the fuck did that come from? You know? and you realize that was you all along. But you had no idea when you started.
You just
I
had to discover
reading
it.
that Jackson Browne says that he writes a song to figure out what he thinks about something.
Yeah, but he had sex with Linda Ronstadt, right? I mean, back in the day, he was a stud. That guy, you know.
I'm only a John Mayer.
Well, what's wrong with that? That's a very studly thing to do.
It's very studly. That's what I'm saying.
He's
He's not a regular dude singing those beautiful songs up there on that stage.
So, anyway,
Carried away by magic. You know, I think what you're saying is also like what Michelangelo said about creating sculpture, is that he he finds the sculpture in the thing. It's not like he makes it. He removes all the stuff that's hiding the sculpture. That's how he looked at it.
You know, I think so many people that I get questions that they don't know what to do. You know, they're just trying to figure it out. And I always give them the same advice. I say, you know, practice being excellent at something you love. It could be trivial. It could be darts. I don't care. Whatever it is, just be excellent at it. Put yourself into it.
I think you're right on target,
and
Aubrey.
you'll discover something about yourself, whatever it is. You know, a lot of people will look to me to see if they can get a job. And my question is always the same. What are you excellent at? Because if they can show me two random things that they're incredible at, they're excellent at, I know that they've learned to apply their authentic self. Because you can't truly be excellent at anything without tapping into that,
or
to that
even
aspect.
less than that. Just what do you love?
Yeah.
What makes you happy?
Yeah.
What's fun?
Well, that's the great Miyamoto Musashi quote. Once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things.
Exactly.
That idea that there's something that you tap into, and it manifests itself in a number of different ways, in athletics and artistic, whatever it is. But what you're doing is you're tapping into the same thing, and that is excellence. You're tapping into the real thing, the way.
And then when you're on the path that's going to give you, the fruits of your destiny, so to speak, whatever it is that's that channel that's going to bring you to the ultimate higher level, you already have practice being excellent. You know how to do the work. And that's another key thing that I love about that you always go back to is just, you know how to do the work. You know how to take the initial steps, that one foot in front of the other, to get there and to see progress and to apply yourself in that way.
Yeah, I'm definitely a believer in just doing the mundane thing. Walk into the room, sit down at the keyboard, or walk into the dojo, start to do whatever the first thing is.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing.
Yeah. But it's just something is occurring to me as we're talking here. I haven't even thought about this in a million years, but you were talking about, Aubrey, about people that don't seem to care or don't have the enthusiasm for
the wonder
something.
and awe in the world,
And
yeah.
I can remember that I used to be, for years, I struggled like that, where I was bored with things. I was bored with myself. I was beating my brains out saying, why don't I love something? What is missing? Right. And my conclusion was that I really did have tremendous ambition and tremendous aspiration, but I had buried it under layers of fear as if I would ever admit to myself that I wanted to be excellent at something, that would be more than I could take. Failure would be more than I could take. And so when I finally sort of admitted to myself, and actually it's in the Authentic Swing, I think, or maybe it's not, but when I admitted to myself that I did have ambition, I did want to do something, suddenly everything changed. And then enthusiasm did come, but it was fear. So I think when we're running into people that don't have enthusiasm, don't have that fire, I don't believe it's not there. I think it's buried under fear. And I think that's why great teachers, coaches, will put a young person in a position where they can exceed their expectations or their belief about themselves, where they thought they couldn't do it, and then the guy kicks them in the ass enough time they actually do it, and they go, "Wow, how did that happen?" And then that's the spark that can then burst into flame if it's guided properly. And I see that everywhere. I'm sorry to say, in this country, it's everywhere.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up that it was you at one point and you passed it, because one of the really important things about your book, I think, is that your really objective assessment of your own life at one point in time when you were like 40 years old. You were talking about this.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, this script that wasn't working, and you were like, "What the fuck am I doing?" And then, how did you go from that to completely getting it together enough to write these books about getting it together?
Yeah,
how to get it together?
How'd you get over that fear?
I think at that time, you mean the fear that I was just talking about?
Yeah, well, the same thing, same question.
Yeah, how did you figure it out?
I think once I realized that there was something I wanted, that I wanted to be a writer, which I had refused to admit to myself because I was so afraid of failing at it. Then I just sort of said, well, there was a moment, it's actually in The War of Art, where I just sort of realized the way you get there is one step at a time, like an alcoholic, one day at a time, and that it was a process that could be demystified. It wasn't airy-fairy waiting for inspiration. It was just sit the fuck down, put a piece of paper in a typewriter, and start, and then do that the next day and do it the next day. And the other aspect for me was I had no choice. That anytime I would try to stop and try to sell out, I was like so depressed so I just had no choice to just keep going. But it was before I wrote The War of Art, I probably had been writing for at least 30 years, or at least trying to do that. That book came out in about 2 months, just because it was so clear in my mind that that's what I had been fighting all these years.
Did you find that putting it down on paper helped you?
Very much, because it became very clear to me.
Like a law almost.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like the way The War of Art kind of started for me was that, and I'm sure you guys get this too, is like friends will come to you and they see that you're getting it you're doing something, and they'll say, I've got a business in me, or a book in me, or a movie in me. And I found myself sitting up with friends, till 2 a.m, kind of psyching them up, saying, you can do it, and explaining what the negative force was of resistance and how it was all bullshit. It was all in your mind. You could overcome it, blah, blah, blah. And after doing that about 10 times, and of course nobody listens to you, finally I just said, I had like a 2-month break, and I just said, I'm going to write this down on paper. And then when somebody comes to me, I'll just say, here, read this. And, shut up, So that's sort of how that came out. But it was very clear in my mind from experiencing it and talking about it for years. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I think you're honest with yourself, and anyone who's honest with themselves, after enough information comes in, that's sort of the conclusion they all draw. Like, I'm kind of fucking myself here. I'm sabotaging myself. Like, I know what I need to do. If I had to give myself advice, what advice would I give? Just do it, bitch. Just get working. Do what you got to do. I can't lose the last 10 pounds. Will you please shut the fuck up? Because that's not true. If you were in a wheelchair from the neck down, paralyzed, you're right. You can't lose that. You're okay. That's out of your control. But that's not what's going on here. This is weird. Like, with this thing is a weird little struggle you got going on. There's people out there that are struggling for real, and I think in the absence of that, there's something to be said about these hunter-gatherer cultures and the happiness and hunter-gatherer cultures. It's very strange. It's like almost devoid of insanity, almost almost completely cured of mental health issues. It's really weird. They have alcoholism if alcohol is introduced into their environments. But other than that, when they don't have that, like Happy People, Life in the Taiga, did you ever see that documentary?
No.
It's Werner Herzog's documentary on these people that live in Siberia. And all these guys do is live off the land. All they do is hunt and fish and trap. And, they're trapping furs, and that's how they buy, like, snowmobiles and, hatchets and shit like that. But the majority of their time is just shooting animals, eating them, fishing, and everybody's happy as fuck. There's a whole village of people that are so happy. They're just smiling and laughing. There's like no disputes. Everybody's just working together to try to get meat. They're showing how to like the craftsmanship involved in making these snowshoes and sleds. They make their own skis. I mean, it's really, really interesting because in the absence of that real day-to-day struggle that these people have, we're almost like we're like waiting for something to come along and kick us in the ass. It's almost like we only react by nature instead of act in some ways.
Well, I'm actually fascinated by that stuff too, Joe. I'm fascinated by tribal cultures.
Yeah.
And, but, there's no going back to that.
No.
At some point, there was an invention happen, and the invention was the individual. And once that was invented, I think the ancient Greeks invented it somewhere around, the time of Socrates and before that. And at that point, we no longer had the tribe. We no longer had that wonderful thing enveloping us.
Right.
But the other, if you look at Afghanistan, which is a great place for us to study because we see it in the news and we've had seen it, which is like in Pashtunistan, you get kind of pretty much tribal culture the way it was way, way, way back when. And I'm also, like when I was reading about the Comanches a little while ago. The other thing, one of the things about tribes is they are unbelievably cruel to whoever, if they capture anybody else or if there's anyone who violates the tribe. It's not such an idyllic world when you get into that side of it.
Wait a minute, you mean it's not like Avatar?
That was the side they left out of in Avatar.
Of course.
But it's almost like it's almost a cheat code to happiness, that kind of simple life where you're constantly out there doing. This world where it's just we don't know what the hell to do, and we don't have action as this kind of through line in our life of, okay, got to go achieve.
Jimi Hendrix is next.
Everybody subsequent to the Isle of Wight festival and prior to it has been talking about the new, subdued, mature Jimi Hendrix. And I wonder if you could tell us why this is and maybe where it started from.
Well, there was a period when I stopped talking so much. Because, just going through certain things here and there. And, I don't know, really. I guess there was something else to talk about or something, whatever.
It does seem...
Because, I just got very quiet for a while. I just did the gigs and just, stayed in. And tried to stay away and all that, That's probably one of those things. Because, I was changing. I felt like I was changing. And getting into heavier music, and it was getting unbearable with the three pieces, And I always wanted to expand and all this, but I think I'll go back to the three pieces again now, and get another bass player, and I'll probably be loud again.
But it does appear, doesn't it? I mean, that the days of the baubles and bangles and the freaky hairstyle have all disappeared. And are you not worried, in a sense, that maybe your quieter approach now may lose a little of the mystique that there was with Jimi Hendrix, which attracted people to begin with? Yeah,
but see, everybody goes to those stages that the first time around, and you wear all these different things, Like I see some other groups, this Mountain and Cactus or whatever, they're getting into the thing. So you see that some of the new pictures now their hair is getting longer, And they wear more jewelry and strangling themselves with all these, beads and jewelry and stuff. But I don't know. I just did that because I felt like I was being too loud or something. Because my nature just changes.
You were quoted in one paper as saying, in fact, that you never wanted to be a visual thing.
Well, I don't want it to be basically just only hyped up on all the visual thing. I wanted the people to listen too. I don't know if they were or not though. After a while, I started getting aware too much of what was going down. It was starting to bring me down a little bit, so I just started cutting my hair and then start rings disappearing one by one.
Are you in fact saying that kind of freak thing was really a kind of publicity hype, the Jimi Hendrix?
No, I have, all they do is just let me do what I want to do, one of them kind of scenes. One time I said, maybe I should burn a guitar tonight, I really feel, or maybe I should smash a guitar or something like that. And he says, yeah. I said, you really think I should? I said, yeah, that'd be cool. So, okay. So, I just work up enough anger as to where I could do it, But, I didn't think too much of the hype scene and all that, because, I dug, wearing all those different things, It was fun. And I still do, but I don't see very many other people doing it, so, it gives me a dumb or a stupid tendency to, hold back from my own desires and so forth. For some unknown reason, I don't know.
So the anger maybe is dispersed a little?
Oh, yeah, that's always happening, though. But, I didn't know it was anger until they told me that it was, with destruction and all that. But I believe everybody should have, a room where they can get rid of all their, releases, where they can do the releases at. So my room was a stage. No.
Now, what is going to happen now? I mean, you apparently from the Isle of Wight festival, you were quoted as saying prior to the Isle of Wight that if it really happened big for you, you'd carry on for a while. Were you satisfied with the results of the Isle of Wight?
Well, it was so mixed up there, and at times it so confused that I didn't get a chance to really base any of my future on that one gig, except when I played God Bless the Queen. If you know what I mean. But I don't know. I couldn't base my whole thing, what I'm going to do after that, by just that one job there. I was probably happy just to play there, And I was wondering if we was going to be receptive, if they was going to dig us, then quite naturally I'd go on and try to get it together.
Now, Billy Cox has split.
Yeah.
So you're going to, whatever happens, you've got to find a new bass player, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, that's that damn maid. Wait a minute.
So, do you intend to form another small unit, or are you hoping to get something bigger together for?
I really don't know. I think I'll get another small one together, I guess. It's really hard to decide, I like to have both if I could. Use one for touring, and then sometimes I could do another tour with a big one, whatever.
Now again, you were quoted in one paper as saying that you wanted to do less personal appearances.
Yeah, right. And then I think it'll count more if we did less, personal appearances. We're trying to get a tour of England together now, but that's definitely going to call for another bass player, And,
do you personally feel that the excitement has gone out of things? I mean,
no, I was feeling like that before because I was thinking too fast, Seems like, a person has a tendency to get bored because, he always wants to try to do all these accomplishments, Like starting an idea, something like that, and never quite finishing it out, But some people should just be, to start ideas, and other ones should carry them out. But, I don't know. It's really hard to say right now. It's whatever happens. I can feel like we could do tours with a small group again, with another bass player. I'd probably get very wild though and wrapped up in the other scene again, like with the hair and so forth, or the visuals probably. But it's all depend, it's really hard to know what people want around here sometimes. All I'm gonna do is just go on and do what I feel. But right now, I can't feel anything right now because there's a few things that's just happened, And so I just have to lay back and think about it all.
do you feel any kind of compulsion to prove yourself as King Guitar, which is the kind of label that people have slapped on you?
I don't know. Well, I was just playing loud. That's the only difference. No, I don't try to fight that. I mean, I don't try to really let that bother me. Because they say a lot of things about people that, if they let it bother them, they wouldn't even be around today, you know. King guitar and all that. Wow, that's a bit heavy.
Who are the people that? I mean, you've already expressed appreciation in one paper of Pink Floyd. What are the things that you admire about Pink Floyd and the things they're doing?
Oh yeah, well they're doing like a different type of music. They're doing more of like a space type of thing. I mean, inner space. It seems like, you know. And like, you know, technically, you know, they're getting electronics and all this.
Right.
Yeah, they do like a space type of thing, like an inner space type of thing, and you know, sometimes you have to lay back by yourself and appreciate them. You know, that's the type of music they're into. It's good. But like, I think I'd want to make mine a little more easier with a better, you know, with a solid beat, probably. Mm-hmm. More beat.
You seem torn between the idea of getting together a big band in which you can step back, and a smaller unit, a kind of rock and roll thing, where you can project your own musical thing. Is that a real problem for you?
I don't know. I think thinking about the rock and roll thing so much is, well, everybody goes through that. It's the idea of thinking they might lose friends, so they might want to get back, you know, together. It's something similar to that, only with probably even a better beat and, you know, more music.
Would it be? I mean, would it be practical for you to get together maybe an organist and a vocalist so that you can step back as a guitarist?
Well, that's exactly what I want to do, actually. That's what I have to do. All I do is probably get 2 guitarists, counting myself, an organist and a singer, you know, and drums quite naturally, and bass. Mm-hmm. If I can get something like that, that would be on the side.
I remember talking to Alvin Lee of 10 Years After some weeks ago, and he said of you, in fact, that you'd never really been truly appreciated or analysed as a songwriter. Do you feel that maybe your image got in the way of that to an extent? I mean, do you feel that you've never really been truly criticised as a songwriter?
Well, probably it was a good thing, because I'm still trying to get that together. You know, all I'm writing is just what I feel, that's all. And not really using too many good, you know, I don't really round it off too good. You know, I just keep it almost naked, almost, you know. And like, probably, you know, the words were so blank and everything that they probably didn't want to get into that. And like when we go to play, you know, you're flipping around and flashing around and everything, and then they're not going to see nothing but what their eyes see, you know. Forget about their ears. So like, well, I was trying to do too many things at the same time, which is my nature, you know. But I was enjoying it, and I still do enjoy it. By just thinking about it, you know.
But there again, I mean,
I just hate to be in one corner. I'd hate to be put as only a guitar player, or either only as a songwriter, or only as a tap dancer, or something like this. You know, I like to move, or you know, I like to move around.
Is it important for you to achieve recognition as a songwriter?
I don't know, really. I guess it would be if I wanted to just lay back and predominantly write songs when I can't go on stage anymore.
You were quoted in one paper as saying that you didn't really care what you did as long as you turned people on, right? Now, what do you want to turn people on to, apart from your music? Is there any moral or political intent in the kind of things you want to write?
Oh, no, I like for them to get easier in the mind a little bit, because there's too many heavy songs out nowadays. Music is getting, you know, or at least it has been getting too heavy, like, you know, almost to the state of unbearable, you know. I have this one little saying: when things get too heavy, just call me helium, the lightest known gas to man. But then again.
So where are your inspirations for songs coming at the present time, then? Where are you turning to?
Next up, Tom Kinney as SpongeBob.
Multiplying. I love your work on the Powerpuff Girls, and now it's coming back. And that's a question I want to ask you is, what is it like stepping back into those roles that you did years and years ago? Are you listening to old episodes? Did you listen before you started, or was it just like right there at the tip of your brain?
Well, that's a good question, because one thing when you make your living kind of acting like a kid and being an arrested adolescent, and I also really love my job a lot. You know, I don't want anybody else's job. You know, this cartoon voiceover is the last job I want to have, like, ever. It's not a stepping stone to something else. It's not a transition. I'm just like, I just want to do this till I'm hopefully a really old dead guy. So, with something like Powerpuff Girls, I don't realize how long the pendulum has taken to swing back because it's been years of you just going to work every day and having kids and doing stuff and living your life. And it isn't until I look at the date that the original Powerpuff came out that I was like, holy cow, this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And the way pop culture works, everything comes back around immediately, sometimes more than once. Sometimes, whether it's Ninja Turtles or Strawberry Shortcake or Ponies or a lot of stuff, Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo, any of that stuff. And, I'm hopefully SpongeBob will be one of those evergreen perennials that comes roaring back every so often.
I got a good feeling about that SpongeBob guy. I think he's got some legs. I think he's going to be around for a while. Yeah.
Sea legs, get it? Meow. Gary, that was funny.
Oh my gosh. And you must have people, talking about keeping up with these voices and not knowing like how long the pendulum is swinging. You also must have people just years after you've wrapped a show, oh, you do know that, do that voice. And that might,
keep it fresh in your brain at like a comic book convention or anything like that. Yeah. Yes, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, when I do the occasional con. And one of the funny parts of this livelihood is that some video game or cartoon that took you 20 minutes in 1996, and then you walked out the door and, did a bazillion other things and never returned to that character, was somebody's biggest thing.
Yeah.
When they were a little kid, or maybe they were sick in bed playing Spyro the Dragon games or something.
Yeah.
And you're their Spyro. And you just kind of, for you, it was just something where you went in, you did it, you did the best job you could, the check cleared, knock on wood, move on, Bob's your uncle, I'm auditioning for whatever the next thing is. But it's funny, like, that IMDb you were talking about, like, everything on there is somebody's biggest thing.
Yeah.
And obviously something like SpongeBob it's actually been around long enough that it spans generations.
Yep.
Where you have people, young families, like people with kids, and the parents say, I grew up on SpongeBob and now our kids watch SpongeBob. And oftentimes there's a grandparent there who said, we didn't understand it when we first saw it, but now we love it. Now we're empty nesters in SpongeBob. Oh, it's terrific.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's kind of nice to be part of something that has that impact on, not even impact, 'cause it's just, at this point, SpongeBob is kind of like this old friend that's always been in the house.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing.
SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Often, there are people that say, I had a great childhood and SpongeBob was part of it. And every time I do a Comic-Con, I get these elaborate drawings, some from kids and some from adults that say, thanks for the greatest childhood ever, or, thanks for showing me how to use my imagination, stuff like that. And then you get people going, my childhood was awful.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob was an escape for me and cartoons were an escape for me. So thanks for providing relief when things weren't so good. And both those things are fine with me, but you realize that these cartoons, I think animation connects with people on a really deep level, and animated characters connect with people on a very deep level.
Yeah.
And it's funny that this is kind of a recent phenomenon that I've been running into. It's kind of just started happening, is where millennials will run into me and start crying.
Yeah.
Like, because it's so emotional. It's like,
Sure.
Maybe they're going to college or childhood is something they're leaving behind and they're starting to take their first steps in the world. And SpongeBob's a heavy thing for them.
Yeah.
And they just go, oh my gosh, you're the voice of SpongeBob. And I go, yeah, I'm SpongeBob. And they go, men and women alike, male and female alike, whatever hit you in your childhood.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to see somebody from whatever Breaking Bad and you go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But if it's something that was seminal to you and a game changer for you when you're in your formative stage.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if I ran into Captain Kangaroo or Mr. Rogers or Mel Blanc especially, I would probably fall apart because it's big.
Yeah.
And, we never think of ourselves as looming large in people's lives, because, why would we think that? But you realize it is. Not us. We don't loom large in people's lives, but SpongeBob does.
Exactly.
SpongeBob as a character and as a show and as a source of enjoyment for them is very fraught.
Yeah.
And it's that's kind of a phenomenon that I'm just starting to experience. I guess has to do with the timeline of how long SpongeBob has been on the air and where the kids that started out watching SpongeBob in 1999 are now in their lives.
Exactly. That was their formative year, whatever age they were.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's funny. Another thing that comes up a lot is adults and young adults and sometimes older adults, like, 30-year-olds or whatever, if they were 10 or 11 when SpongeBob started.
Sure.
They'll come and go, oh my God, my friends and I still speak to each other in SpongeBob memes.
Yeah, I know.
Or I had a friend in 4th grade that all we did was we bonded over SpongeBob jokes, and he's still my best friend. In fact, I'm at this Comic-Con with him, and the guy comes over, oh my God.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy must get autograph.
Talking about SpongeBob, I'm so glad that we're heading down this path because my favorite thing about this character is everything you just mentioned and I think that he's an incredibly important character for cartoon history because for me, he heralded the resurgence of innocence and that being okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I just, I think that's kind of what helped for sure at the beginning SpongeBob stand out. And I guess like in terms of comedy archetypes, you're either the wise guy or the naif.
That's right.
You're either like the super naive childlike guy, which in the stuff that influenced SpongeBob is represented by Stan Laurel, Jerry Lewis,
right?
Maybe Curly from the Three Stooges, where they just act like innocent kids. Mm-hmm. And then there's the wise guy that would be Moe or Oliver Hardy or whatever, but. Because I liked all the wise guy characters as a kid too.
Oh yeah, sure.
But you're right, SpongeBob kind of stood out, and I think that's very much a product of and sprang from Steven Hillenburg's personality and approach to life and approach to comedy. Steve's a very wide-eyed guy who's interested in everything and is a very hopeful, sweet guy. And so I think the character that he created had a lot of that in his DNA.
Yeah.
And I think that only works if the naive character isn't the object of derision, like
exactly.
by the creators of the show, by the writers, like
yes.
like going, optimism, how stupid.
Yes.
Squidward can think that.
Sure.
Right. And then that's a nice counterpoint. But I think in terms of the writing of SpongeBob and creating him, that was a really, really huge part of his personality. And when Steve pitched the character to me, he was very clear about that.
Yeah.
And I think, because he's told me, I know, on some level, saw some of those qualities in me, which is why he thought of me as the voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I enjoy life. I'm a happy guy.
Yeah.
But
I got to take this opportunity, too, to also, I have this chance. I'm in this booth. I'm here at Nickelodeon. I just wanted to tell SpongeBob, listen, SpongeBob, I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of people are big fans of yourself. And I just wanted to say, thanks for being such a good guy, because that means a lot to me, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I think part of it I owe to my imaginary friend Tom Kenny. Underwater sunsets sure are beautiful, eh, Squidward?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is great. Just the three of us. You, me, and this brick wall you built between us.
Yeah.
Sunsets always remind me of bowls of fruit. What do they make you think of, Squidward?
Explosions. I mean, erosion.
If I were to die right now in some sort of fiery explosion due to the carelessness of a friend, well, that'd just be okay.
Let's go back and discuss some of your influences growing up, the type of animation that you liked, your comedy influences. You started out doing stand-up. At what point in your development as a young person did you say to yourself, I want to do comedy, I care about comedy? When did that happen?
Really young, very young, like childhood.
Yeah.
I was always drawing comic strips and, I was horrible at sports, of course. And, I found that by making funny comic strips that featured like teachers and kids in the class and all that, you know, and being the funny guy, you could do it. And people always go, oh, you must have been the class clown with all your nutty, zany voices. You must have been the class clown.
Sure.
And I wasn't. It wasn't until probably junior high school that I started to feel comfortable more showing that side of me. But I would write jokes.
Next up is Dan Harmon with Duncan.
I don't really check my email hardly. I check it like once a week. And I cringe before I do it because I know it's going to be filled with people kind of maybe yelling at me or something, or just people, it's just things that are going to remind me that I am working too slowly on 11 different things. So my assistant is the connecting point between me and the world. So really emails are, I can check it once a week.
Are you a watermark for us? Should we like, is what you're doing the top of the pyramid, man, or do you feel more like you got trapped in something?
I think probably more the latter. I don't know, man. It's really hard to say. Like you're talking to a bona fide, as we've talked about on your podcast before. Like I'm a fucking bona fide, full on, not in a funny way, not in a cute way, workaholic. Like I'm trying to shake that, and I don't know. So I on one hand I want to say like, well, this is the TV business, you know, like how many more people are going to get jobs staffing on shows that pay proper guild things, and how many of those jobs, if you're lucky enough to get one, are going to last as long as The Simpsons. The TV has never been better, but that's because there's never been less money in it, and it's getting broken down into, you know, it's like an artisanal bakery now,
right?
Having a TV show, like you can get one on Netflix or something like that, and you can, or you make your own, put it on the internet, sell it for $1 an episode. But the downside of that is like there's no long-term like retirement plan in that.
And this is something you think about a lot: retirement, long-term stuff. You're thinking about that a lot, huh?
Yeah, I think that's maybe a Wisconsin thing, or I probably shouldn't put it on my state, but like I just have this nightmare of like being a sucker and like living under a bridge and regretting, like, you know, like I don't know, like I fucked up, like I just have this horrible fear of like some future where I have nothing. I've been so employed and unemployed, up and down, you know. I'm sure you have too, like that roller coaster.
Sure.
So it's like the higher you get, the more you associate it with the lowest you've been, and you think about how little you expected to go from up to down last time, and then you look at where you are now, and you're waiting for another plunge.
You know what we call that? That is the realm of the jealous gods. Do you know about this? The wheel of life. You know about this?
Mm-mm.
So it like represents different. Well, some people say it's an actual map of the cosmos, but obviously that's probably bullshit. It's more of a map of like psychological states. And so there's this, it's like a mandala. So top of the mandala, the realm of the gods. Now this is where anything you think you want, it comes to you. Like we're talking like Rockefeller babies, I guess, or like people born into just some incredible, I don't even know if it's real or not that these people exist, but mythologically, this would be someone who is so deeply engrossed in sense gratification and having what they want and having their desires fulfilled that they haven't even come to the realization that this is impermanent. They're just sort of like glorified and glorious, and they're young, and it just hasn't popped into their head. The snake hasn't wormed their way into the garden of their minds to like whisper the dark story. And then it's the realm of the jealous gods. Now, you're not jealous, but in that realm, the gods start getting worried that they're not going to be gods anymore, and they fight each other. And that's where that's where it gets really interesting, because the gods want to maintain this place of like opulence, but they know this is an impermanent universe. It's not going to last. It can't last. Your body won't last. The fucking economy could collapse. Meteor impacts. Who the fuck knows? Some unexpected disease. All the things. Your mind becomes plagued. And so then you're in a real predicament because you have all this wonderful shit, but you're like, you're trying to like sustain it instead of enjoying it, you know? Which is then, and then the next one down is like, I can't remember. It gets pretty bad.
Oh God, it gets worse.
Yeah, it gets worse.
Is there a homeless God? That's what I'm worried about.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's funny to me. Someone who's got a podcast. I got a podcast. I'm a podcaster. I do comedy. I got a podcast. And I worry, but it's fascinating, and I bet it's kind of interesting for people listening to think you, Rick and Morty creator Dan Harmon, also is experiencing these very same mental tribulations.
Oh yeah. Well, that's my biggest epiphany now, or rather, it's not even an epiphany. It's just like, I don't know. Nobody wants to hear about the fucking election, just like nobody wanted to hear about 9/11 for 10 years after 9/11. But like as of the election, which was this like psychic shakeup, becoming conscious of the what's been labeled white fragility, like, which I recognize as what I was like. I was one of those not jealous gods in a sense, like politically, because I was just like, I don't give a shit about politics. I don't care. And then when it was like, holy shit, I recognize this is a fascist movement. Like, fascism is bad. Like this is a really legitimate, like, potential slide that our whole country could take, that's going to end up making me find out what I'm made of, which is the last thing I want. Like, I don't want to have to either A, play ball with some sick shit, or B, like, be in Antifa and like throwing rocks and stuff and like chasing tanks and spitting and stuff. I don't have the chutzpah to like fight the power, and I don't have the chutzpah to like be like a fucking Nazi. Like, I would be a bad one of those too.
Well, you created two extremes there, and what you just
right,
mentioned.
and I like splitting the difference, which is what I was allowed to do as an elite liberal, as part of the old regime, which I didn't realize I was a part of. But so, anyways, long story short, like, you kind of waking up to that, like, it has hastened the retirement urge. It's like I like, you just want safety and comfort, and like How did this thought start? It was
it started with pointing out that, like, I don't know what you call it, the insecurity, the feeling of insecurity you're battling against.
Oh, right. You were saying that, like, people listening would be surprised. And I'm like, listen, if you're 25 and you're unemployed and all you have to do all day is like dick around with software and stuff, and like that's where I was when I was 25. And I know you've heard this 1,000 times before, but it's like I was at my happiest. Like, that, I'm 44 now. It's roughly 20 years later, and my foremost agenda right now is to get back to that place.
Yes.
Not by being unemployed, but I want to have that. I want to be able to get up in the morning and like make a 30-second cartoon and put it on Instagram, and not read the comments and go on with my day. Start learning how to do something else. Like, I want to just make shit like I was doing when we were doing Channel 101 and stuff like that. Only back then I was doing it out of, kind of like, I didn't have anything else to do. And so I wouldn't say I wasn't conscious of how happy I was, but I certainly wouldn't have said back then that I was as happy as I would ever get. And that's a fact. Like, there's comfort, my air conditioning works, like, whatever. Comfort kind of just comes to you as you get older anyway. Yeah. But then there's happiness, and happiness peaks at like, it just like surprisingly low levels. like the idea that there's more happiness out there than you can get like for $20 and 3 hours of a Sunday afternoon. It is actually, ironically, the thing I think that causes the most discomfort. Like, because you start flexing and tensing and worrying about how to get happier than that, and then you're just not in the moment. And we've talked about this in one way or another 1,000 times, but yeah, that's the zone I'm in right now. Is I'm like, okay, Rick and Morty could be a full-time job. That means like I could, like, stop this workaholic, cast a wide net, like, nonsense and multitasking and worrying about, like, 1,000 projects at once and like kind of slowly pull back and like have one job, and then all the rest of the time be like, I'm not at work, so I'm following my bliss. And also on top of that, I'm lucky enough that the work is pretty blissful.
Here's a dumb question. Do you think of yourself as a revolutionary?
No, God, no. I think of myself as a coward and I don't know. I was in a Twitter exchange before I quit Twitter with some, I think they were Democratic Socialist people, and because they were talking about, you should be with us, you know, you should talk about us on the podcast or book a guest from us. And I was like, yeah, no, I want to have a guest that represents you guys and talk to you guys, but I can't. I was in talking to them about why I couldn't join them yet. I was like, I found a decent metaphor that's pretty accessible because Game of Thrones is such a popular show and there's so many characters on it that represent such a spectrum of like, I'm that Onion Knight guy. You know what I'm talking about? Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's who I feel like politically. Like, I'm just fucking scared and like tired and like used to be comfortable a long time ago. I'm tremendously loyal, but the things I've been loyal to have been shattered.
You haven't seen the thing. I mean, maybe you don't know. A lot of people don't even know. It's like there's a big secret bubbling on the planet right now. Most people aren't even aware of it. And that's a very disconcerting feeling, because what are you going to fight for? Some ambiguous, weird, fucking organized group of people on Twitter that's like, no, what, the dream. Here's one thing.
Okay, folks, next up is Stevie Ray Vaughan.
We did 2 shows in Austin that were ridiculous length. They were about 5-hour shows, 2 of them. And then we had 1 show in Dallas. That's all of July's. July the 18th of 75 and July the 17th and 19th of 86.
So that's quite a compilation of pieces. It's really strange. The more I talk to your manager, the more information I'm getting fed about you. He enlightened me to the fact that you were the first white person to ever win the Blues Award. How did that come up? What did that do to you? I mean, that said what to you?
Well, of course it felt good, but the main thing is that the music is the music, you know. And just because I'm white, or just because we got to take the color out of the blues, you know. It's just that I like to do the best of the music that I can, and that's where my heart lies, is in the blues, rhythm and blues, and rock and roll.
It's strange. A lot of times people think that the blues is primarily a black art form, and as you said, we've got to take the color out.
Well, its roots are there, believe me.
But you've brought it to another level where it's a people music now.
Yeah.
It's not a color music. Your background, I mean, the blues initially was coming out of hard luck and bad times and just an overall depressed state. Your background, how much did that play in your going into the blues?
There was a lot of rough things going on, but hopefully I've grown past some of those things, you know, self-inflicted, a lot of it. Nowadays I'm drug-free, alcohol-free. For a long time, no, I wasn't. About 25 years. And just trying to work through some of those problems and grow from them, grow from those mistakes.
Were those dependencies, they say the music business fosters those things, were these inner turmoils with you, or was it part of the whole scheme of things?
Well, I wasn't on the road when it started, you know, obviously. I'm 32 now. Started 7 or 8 years old, you know. This business, the scheduling of it, can call for needed some people to at least think that they need artificial energy, or not thinking about something to sedate themselves. A lot of that comes with the image of rock and roll and playing music. Regardless of all that, it still ends up where it's not necessary. It really isn't.
Do you feel as though your music is better now than it was when you were under the influence?
Yeah, there was, you know, of course, for a long time I thought that was the solution. You know, I found it was a problem. You know, I think our music's a lot clearer now. I really do. I feel a lot better inside. I know that.
You've got quite a following of superstars and other musicians. How did you come to pick Stevie Wonder's Superstition?
I've always liked Stevie Wonder, and I've always liked his music. And it just ended up with that song. We were playing with it one day at soundcheck. None of us knew. I didn't know the words or anything. I just knew very superstitious. You know, I'd sing that over and over. And we just ended up trying it, and one of the stage crew had said if we do that, man, it'll be a hit, you know. And it felt real good, so we just worked on it, and come to find out we had approval from Stevie Wonder, you know, and that was quite a thrill. We did the mixing and the mastering at his studio at Wonderland.
Let's talk about your HBO special. That's another thing that's coming up.
That was a lot of fun, yeah.
Who's in it, and when might it air, and what can we expect from you in it?
Well, that was a wonderful day. It was a wonderful day. B.B. King, Albert King, Dr. John, the late Paul Butterfield, Eric Clapton, Phil Collins, Chaka Khan, Gladys Knight, Etta James, Billy Ocean, B.B.'s band. Sometimes all of us at once, sometimes not all of us at once. But God, it was a wonderful experience. It really was. The way it was set up was all the musicians and their equipment faced each other. So we actually played to each other. And the audience was there on the outside around the stage, the circular stage. And I don't know, I just had a blast being with all those people and doing my best with them. It comes out, I believe, in August. It'll be a hot one.
I can believe it. You've also got a movie that's happening, Back to the Beach. Why don't you tell me a little about that?
Well, I play myself playing me. You know, all I do is I'm in it playing Pipeline with Dick Dale, the guy who invented surf music. And he's gotten a little wilder and through the years. And I don't know, it was a lot of fun doing. And it was, you know, it came about because of a guy, Frank Mancuso, the producer, had kept asking about me doing this. And up until that point, because of some problems from the past, I had a reputation for being kind of ornery, you know, and a little weird to work with in the studio because I like to do it all night long. And they have sessions during the day too.
Right.
So, but he kept insisting on contacting me about it, and thank God he did, because I got the chance to, you know, not only have fun doing it, but to show that I'd changed a lot of my ways.
You think you'd want to, that was more or less of a cameo role, let's say?
Yes.
You think you'd want to be an upfront actor? I mean, a lot of musicians make that transition.
That would be fun if I find that I'm capable of doing that.
Well, I mean, you obviously have the presence and the talent, so
Yeah.
what do you think?
It would just have to. I just have to see how it goes. I've never had any acting lessons or anything like that. You know, I don't know exactly how to go about it. You know, I might be convincing in some ways, but then that might be some ways.
You were discovered by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards.
Well, actually, I was discovered by my mama.
By your mama. All right. And we're going to get to her, because I heard that she came to your aid too when you had a little fall off the stage, and she was right there with you through it. You know, that's what mom's all about. But they credit you as being probably one of the greatest guitarists of all times.
I keep trying to be. I don't know that I am. I just know that I do the best that I can.
The best that you can is absolutely phenomenal. I keep going back to that, but again, it's that sound check was awesome. All right. Let's talk about some of the bad times for just a quick minute. How long were you under the influence, and what exactly made you turn around?
Well, it was over a period of about 25 years that in one form or another I was, you know, drinking or using something. And it got to the point where finally I knew for quite a while that I had a problem with things. like that with drugs and alcohol. But it was also at the same. It was. I knew that I had a problem, but I couldn't stop, and I knew that I couldn't stop. Every time that I had more pressure, seemed to be a good excuse for more. And every time there was less pressure, it was party time. That's the disease telling you that you don't have it. You know, oh, sure, you can, come on, you can make it, you know. And what happened was I ended up finally, I saw it coming too. I knew it was coming. Finally, I had every kind of breakdown at once that I think a person could have. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, and the whole ball of wax melted. And I woke up on a bus. Well, I'd had a nervous breakdown and had to go to the hospital first. Got out of there, and we were in a German hospital, and these people, I don't know if it was common in Germany or if it was just this particular hospital, they were butchers, you know, and didn't care what you said when they asked you questions, you know, and thank God I had my bass player, Tommy Shannon, and a few other people I knew with me to keep me from trying to jump up and run out, you know, because it didn't seem any safer there. That's why I went to the hospital. Then the next day, I woke up on a bus, crying, scared of everything, didn't know why. Didn't know what I was scared of, much less how to deal with it. And that went on for quite some time until it was just obvious that I could not keep going. And went and saw Dr. Victor Bloom in London. He put me in London Clinic, which is a private hospital. I did detox there. And we also checked out my stomach because I was having some struggle problems, possible ulcers, and it was just, come to find it was just, there were just.
Thank you, folks, for listening. Tune in next week for more podcasts of all podcasts.
Our last song for today is a band that was touring through Portland, Oregon last year, and now they're touring through France by 2ManyZoos, or Zooz, and it's called Bedford.